Hi, I'm Vanessa Rubiano, and I'm a student at Metropolitan State University doing my master's in social work. And we're going to talk about immigration in the United States. In the history, immigrants, particularly Latinx, Black, Indigenous, and non English speaking populations, face barriers not only due to their immigration status, but also because of overlapping inequalities tied to racism, poverty, and language discrimination. We're going to talk about some movements that have happened here in the United States. So the first one is the abolition movement in early citizenship struggles in the 1800s. The fight to end slavery and secure citizenship for free African Americans after the Civil War established racialized hierarchies of belonging, which influenced immigration laws later. The second movement is the Chinese Exclusion Act during the 1882 and 1943. First, U.S. law banning immigration based explicitly on race. The goal was to restrict Chinese laborers while preserving white dominance in labor markets. The impact set a precedent for racialized immigration policy and highlighting how race, class, labor, and language shape exclusion. Movement number three, the Bracero program during 1942 to 1964. That was an agreement between US and Mexico to bring Mexican laborers to work during the Second World, field labor short, shortage while keeping wage low. So workers were exploited, underpaid, and living in poor conditions. Movement number four, the Chicano movement during 1960s and 1970s. So as you can see in the pictures, there are protests, and those are student activists in the United Farm Workers like Cesar Chavez, Dolores Huertas demanded educational equality, labor rights, and cultural pride. Movement number five, the family separation crisis during 2017 and 2018. So, as you can see also in the pictures, you see families, you see people crying, stop ripping families apart. And this was because of a Trump administration implemented a zero tolerance policy at the US Mexico border. Thousands of children were separated from parents and placed in detention centers. Organizations like Racist, ACLU, and immigrant led groups mobilized nationally and globally. It highlights trauma caused by state violence against families, with language and race central to dehumanization. Movement 6, Trump administration 2025, so right now. The administration is executive large scale enforcement operations, including detentions and deportations of undocumented immigrants with even minor infractions. Detention capacity has expanded, and there are plans for large detention facilities. So, what's the past strategies? Immigration has intersected with race, class, and language in systemic operations since the 1800s, starting with the fight to end slavery and secure citizenship for African Americans. Historical policies such as the Chinese Exclusion Act and labor exploitation under the Bracero program explicitly use race, class, and language as tools of systemic oppression. Activists and movements link immigration struggle to broader fights for dignity, representation, and justice, often relying on grassroots organizing, in person protests, strikes, and legal challenges to advocate for systemic challenge. So, the modern strategies are immigrants' rights movements operate in a context of hiding enforcement and digital activism. Large scale of operation target undocumented immigrants. Even for minor infractions, and detention facilities have expanded, sometimes modeled after military structures, perpetuating fear and racialized exclusion. In response, contemporary advocacy relies heavily on digital platforms, social media campaigns like Abolish ICE and Here to Say, online petitions, virtual fundraisers, and repaid response network to mobilize communities quickly. Modern strategies combine legal advocacy, intersectional alliance, and digital organizing to create visibility, support, and systemic challenge in real time. So, in the movement of cycle, we are in the uprising, which means mass mobilization and organizing energy. It's a channel disruptive energy to shift the balance of power and pressure decision makers. So the immigration movement is currently in the uprising phase, marked by visible mass mobilization and public pressure on decision makers. Across the US, there have been large scale protests, labor strikes, and legal actions opposing deportation and immigration rates. Community groups, unions, and activists are organizing nationwide, demanding human policies and justice for immigrants. So here is what I have identified the work that we need to do. Bold demands, collective actions, digital campaigns, healing and solidarity circles, media storytelling, social activism, advocate, amplify, educate, frame issues. At this stage of the movement, I feel most aligned with the advocate and organizer roles. As an advocate, I can use my voice, education, and cultural understanding to amplify immigrant stories, educate others about system oppression, and frame issues through a trauma informed and intersectional lens. As an organizer, I can help build community connections, support immigrants led initiatives, and sustain momentum through collaboration and outreach. Trauma informed good travel plan. So in the macro, in the micro, provide culturally and linguistically responsive emotional support to immigrant clients and peers by creating safe, non-judgmental space where they are feel heard and seen. In the meso, collaborate with local immigrant organizations to organize healing circles and storytelling workshops that foster community resilience, connection, and empowerment. In the macro, advocate for language access and anti discrimination policies in social services and community programs by sharing stories, data, and policy recommendations that highlight the lived experience of immigrant community. So, the good travel blueprint is: what is your imagined future? My imagined future is one in which immigrant families, regardless of race, class, language, or legal status, experience dignity, belonging, and full access to the system that shaped their lives. In this future, scholars, in this features, yeah, so schools, hospitals, courts, and social service agencies no longer operate from an English only white middle class norm, but instead are linguistically inclusive, culturally humble, and structurally responsive. Translation is a standard, not optional. Community voices are central in policy decisions, and healing center spaces exist for immigrant families impacted by deportation, discrimination, and domestic violence. So children grow up understanding that their bilingualism is a strength, their cultural identities are assessed, and their families are worthy of safety, not suspicious. In the micro and meso professional social work interventions, could look like this: provide trauma informed, culturally responsive counseling for immigrant families, prioritizing language access, and integrating cultural strengths. Incorporate educational modules with clinics, schools, and organizations that teach professionals about the intersection of immigration, race, class, and language based operation. Advocate internally for hiring bilingual staff, expanding interpreter services, and developing writing materials in multiple languages. Build healing groups for immigrant parents in youth that focus on empowerment, bicultural identity development, and intergenerational storytelling. Participate in marches, public testimony, and legislative hearing to change anti-immigrant policies, language discrimination, and racialized enforcement practices. Support fundraising and volunteer efforts for local immigrants' rights organizations. Partner with community coalition to push for policy change, including ending family separation, expanding asylum protection, and securing pathways to citizenship. So, closing reflection: what good travel means to me? Good travel means intentionally changing unjust systems, especially those that harm immigrant families, through advocacy, through telling and refusing silence. It is the courage to disrupt policies, language barriers, and racial bias and perpetuate oppression. What will you carry forward into your career? I will carry forward a commitment to culturally responsive practice, elevating immigrant voices, and advocating for policies that protect families. I will use my life experience, professional training, and community partnership to create pathways to equity and healing. Why you need to sustain this work over time, emotionally, socially, and spiritually. To sustain this work, I need community connection, reflective supervision, and spaces for rest and restoration. Nature and spiritual grounding and supportive relationship help me stay aligned with hope, resilience, and purpose. Closing reflection. How do your actions align with social work values? My actions reflect the core values of dignity and worth of the person, social justice, and service by advocating for immigrant families, promoting language access, and challenging harmful policies. I uphold the ethics of honoring humanity and advancing equity. How do you navigate tension between personal and professional values? I navigate tension by grounding myself in ethical principles, staying self aware, and seeking consultation when needed. I honor my personal passion for immigrant justice while ensuring my intervention are evidence based, culturally humble, and client centered. Thank you so much. This is it. Hope you like it.